At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
Westwood One Sports presents Josh Graham.
Welcome to the Josh Graham Show. We're with you until 7 p.m. Eastern Time, which means we're reacting to the final two teams punching their tickets to the Final Four. Yeah, feeling pretty safe about Michigan getting to Indianapolis. Currently, they're up about 30 points on Tennessee. Big Blue in good shape in Chicago. But the main event is in our nation's capital, with Duke meeting the UConn Huskies in a game that's about to start about 1 hour from now. In terms of making a prediction, the Blue Devils are going to win this game, because there's little doubt that Jon Scheyer has done everything possible to prepare this team for this specific moment. It's not a stretch to say this team has been built to win this Elite Eight game. First off, they have not one, not two, not three, but four key contributors back from a Final Four team a year ago. That's Isaiah Evans, Patrick Gamba, Malik Brown, and Caleb Foster, who was the story, returning from injury to play 18 minutes against St. John's in heroic fashion. Duke also scheduled one of the most difficult non-conference schedules you will ever see a team put together. Here is the list of teams that ended up being a top 5 seed or better that Duke played out of conference. Michigan, Florida, both number 1 seeds. Michigan State, a 3 seed. Arkansas, Texas Tech, Kansas. Plus, they opened the season with Texas, which ended up in the Sweet 16. That Michigan game was scheduled in D.C. in February because of this regional site. Duke knew that there was a regional in D.C. They wanted experience shooting on those rims, being in that building, simulating the whole thing, because that's how coaches think. This is why Jon Scheyer, even though they're a Nike school and so was Michigan, used Wilson basketballs in the game rather than Nike balls, because that's what you use in the NCAA tournament. All of that was with this game in mind. Then you get to UConn. UConn overachieved by reaching the Elite Eight. Oh, Josh, they're a 2 seed. This is exactly where they're supposed to be. The Big East wasn't good this year. And the Huskies often played down to their competition, losing at home to Creighton, losing to 11-19 Marquette in the season finale when you had the Big East regular season title that you were playing for. They nearly lost to Seton Hall during that stretch as well. The only other good team in this league is St. John's, who, by the way, took 2 out of 3 against UConn this year, including a 20-point romp in the Big East title game at MSG a few weeks back. Don't forget that, yes, Duke is coming off beating that St. John's team that has beaten UConn 2 out of 3. The deciding factor is this. Duke has Cameron Boozer. UConn doesn't. This is why Westwood One pays yours truly the big checks over here. It's what they do because of observations as profound as that. Duke has Cameron Boozer. UConn doesn't. He is the best player on the floor because he's the best player in the country. He's a flat-out winner. He's earned our trust all year long. Duke might win this game big, but if it's close, you trust the Devils even more because the Devils are 9-2 in games decided by 7 points or less. The Blue Devils are going to the Final Four for the second straight year when they beat UConn in about an hour. Let's put it to you guys, though. Who wins between Duke and UConn? Who do you dislike more between Dan Hurley and the Blue Devil brand? 310-840-4910. If you want in on the show, who are you rooting for? Who do you think wins? 310-840-4910. You could call us. You could text us. We've got Mike Martinez taking your calls at 310-840-4910. Will Dalton, he is the producer of this program. Will, you are a North Carolina fan, so does that mean automatically that you're rooting against Duke? Or who is the more dislikable brand, Dan Hurley or John Shire's edition of the Blue Devils?
John Shire isn't dislikable at all. I mean, just looking at the way he choked up when he was asked about Caleb Foster after the St. John's game.
It was cool.
That dude, he has Duke in a very likable space right now. So UConn is definitely the answer. Plus, I want them to win so I can be right because they're my national champion.
Oh, okay. So some selfish interest as well there.
Maybe
this
financial
segment,
reasons too.
Yeah, there you go. Sponsored by Progressive Commercial Insurance. They protect small businesses with affordable coverage options. Get a quote today at progressivecommercial.com. So during the week on Westwood One Sports, I host the night show with Linnell Willingham. Linnell's on Mondays and Tuesdays. We're together on Wednesdays. I'm on Thursdays and Fridays. I'm going to be at the Final Four next weekend in Indianapolis. He's at this UConn-Duke game that we're about to see in an hour. He's going to join the show in the next 15 minutes or so. Denton Day produces the evening show we do. He's the glue guy of the program. He'll be joining us from Capital One Arena as well throughout the program, keeping you posted on what's happening. Not a lot to update you on from Michigan and Tennessee. It is 73-45 with 10 minutes to go. When that goes final, we'll have more expansive thoughts on the game. But let's shift the conversation just a little bit to something that we saw this morning. And that is Michael Jordan once again showcasing why he's the true basketball GOAT. Once again, Michael Jordan showcased why he's the true basketball GOAT because he doesn't ever say that he's the greatest. That's a different tact than LeBron James has taken. Because, let's not forget, shortly after he won the Cleveland title in 2016, Cleveland! This is for you! Shortly after that, LeBron went on one of his podcasts, and he said, that win made him the greatest of all time. LeBron should be taking basketball notes from Michael Jordan, but also should be taking media notes as well, interview notes, because this is a masterclass by Mike. This is courtesy of CBS Sunday Mornings Today, where Mike was sitting down with Gayle King and addressed the GOAT subject this way.
Michael Jordan is 63 and wears many titles. though there is one he would prefer not to hold. Is there room for more than one GOAT in basketball?
There's no such thing as GOAT, to me.
No such thing?
Not to me. Yeah, it's only because I think we learn from other athletes, we progress the game. To say that one is better than the other.
He doesn't believe in it. He doesn't believe in the GOAT conversation. And this is true. The only time Michael's come close to referring to somebody as being the greatest was when he was talking about his childhood idol, David Thompson, who was the greatest ACC basketball player ever at NC State. Unbeaten seasons in 1973 and in 74. 73, NC State was under probation and couldn't compete in the tournament. 74, they ran the table, won it all. David Thompson, Michael Jordan felt so strongly about the man they called the Skywalker back in the day that David Thompson was, out of all the people that MJ could pick, David Thompson was the person on stage with him helping induct him into the Basketball Hall of Fame more than 15 years ago. If you don't follow other sports at all, Michael has become an important figure in NASCAR too. He's recently become a successful team owner alongside Denny Hamlin, Tyler Reddick. He has won several races this year, but he's also won a court case Michael has against NASCAR earlier this year. A result that it looks like is going to help the sport innovate and become more forward-thinking and evolve in a positive way. So Michael owning a race team that's now starting to win. Tyler Reddick actually won 3 straight races earlier this year. Wins a court case as well. He's having his impact on auto racing and on NASCAR. Here's more from that interview on CBS Sunday Mornings. Michael asked about his love of auto racing.
I look at the cars. Have you ever even been in a car? It seems like your body wouldn't fit in a car.
I can't fit.
So you've never been in a car and
No.
never driven?
No.
Do you want to?
I would probably try to go as fast as Denny Hamlin and some of these other guys, knowing I don't have the talent to do so. I'll probably run straight into that wall, but that doesn't change my desire. I love the sport.
All-time basketball legend, billionaire businessman, former NBA owner, successful car race owner. That's GOAT behavior. Michael, he is the quintessential North Carolinian. As somebody who's talking to you from Winston-Salem, North Carolina, Will Dalton's from this part of the universe as well. Michael, he played basketball for the Tar Heels. He loves racing and owns a race team, and he fishes competitively as well. What could make him... Do we know Michael's thoughts on pulled pork? What type of pulled pork he prefers? Because, honestly, do not know how he could be more North Carolinian, except for the fact that while he grew up in Wilmington, North Carolina, he was born in Brooklyn. So you do have some of those insane people that frankly belong in an asylum, if we still have those, that say that Michael's a New Yorker. You know those people? When Michael was born there, but he lived his entire childhood in Wilmington. It'd be like saying, I'm not a North Carolinian when I was born in Baltimore and moved when I was 1. And distracted by the Orioles, the fact that the Orioles trailed 4-0 against the Twins, and it was a 5-5 tie about a few minutes ago, and the Orioles scored 3. So now they're up 8-5. Will Dalton, the vibes, they're good to start off this program. They're very good, even though I can feel you seething over there because you're what we describe as a Ute, and you consider LeBron to be the greatest and not Michael.
See, I think there could be multiple GOATs in
No.
different ways.
No.
Because LeBron is a better overall player than Michael.
No, he isn't.
I get the chips and all of that. Plus,
He isn't.
Michael was
Michael's-
not doing
Mike-
what LeBron
Michael
was doing
was
at
like-
41.
Michael was like the best defender in the sport, like the entire time that he played. What are we talking about? I don't think we consider LeBron the best defensive player in the NBA. Like, Michael, how many defensive players of the year has he won? Are we kidding ourselves here? Come on now. Let's not be stupid
Nobody
about this.
explodes to the basket like LeBron in his career.
Oh,
no
again,
one. I mean,
you're gonna
freight
use
train.
these. You're gonna use these really incredibly subjective ways of talking about it. Like your opinion of whatever. I'm going off facts, Chief. I'm going off 6 titles and no losses. Yes, I'm doing the title game. Oh, no one's been this good at the age of 40. Let's not forget that Michael, at the age of 40, I think, his last year averaged 20 a game with Washington. So it's not like it's the
wasn't doing what
craziest thing
LeBron's
ever.
doing at that age.
You're right. I agree. I mean, Michael's not losing multiple finals, more finals than he's won. I'm sorry.
More
It doesn't
appearances.
mean we think that LeBron. You can agree at least with how he handles the issue. That Michael, the way he handles it's the right way. The way that LeBron does it, I'm the greatest because of the Cleveland.
Well,
title.
Michael pretty
No
much
one
said
likes
what I just said.
No one likes the guy who says that he's the greatest. No one likes that.
I agree.
LeBron did that. Michael didn't.
Michael said what I just said.
Michael didn't
Essentially.
say some nonsense where it's like, we can have multiple greatest.
Yeah,
No,
he said he
he
never
didn't.
liked
He
to go
didn't.
down that road.
That's a cowardly way out that you're taking. Don't appreciate it. Have an opinion, stick to it, and don't try to hedge. That's what I'm saying to you. Okay if Michael does it because he's just being classy. But you we're holding to a higher standard here. We're going to hold you to a higher standard. We got a big show because coming up, a live check-in with Linnell Willingham on site, Duke-UConn, less than an hour from now in D.C. We're just getting started here on the Josh Graham Show.
Draft is less than a month away, and we will take you behind the curtain, literally live from Pittsburgh for the 2026 draft with exclusive interviews of your team's picks from your home of the NFL, Westwood One Sports.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
Westwood One Sports presents Josh Graham.
Sir, let's go out to Cap One Arena. We'll have a couple of visits from the sites of Duke-UConn and the Elite Eight throughout today's show. Linnell Willingham, the host of the Linnell Willingham Weekend Show on Westwood One Sports, and also, of course, alongside yours truly, Westwood One Sports Night during the week. Linnell, Friday night sounded like a St. John's home game against Duke. What's been the split you've seen so far, Blue Devil fans and Husky fans walking around Cap One Arena?
Well, first and foremost, good afternoon. Live on location from probably the best basketball environment in the country right now. Walking in, man, split, it feels like. A lot of UConn fans, but you know Duke always is going to be well represented. You're right, though. There was point in times during the game where I was in a mosh pit of Johnny fans, and they were loud and raucous throughout the course of the game. But I think tonight the crowd probably plays a factor as well, one way or another.
If Coach K were still on the sideline at Duke, I feel like this would be an easy answer. Who is more disliked in this game? Who is Linnell Willingham wanting to see advance between these two? But out of the two coaches, there's little question who's more polarizing, perhaps more dislikable, with Dan Hurley from UConn versus John Shire, who I don't see anybody have any problems with him. Who would you personally rather advance to the Final Four between these two?
So my Maryland ties obviously make me hate Duke. I cannot stand the Blue Devils. I try to keep it professional, though, but everybody hates Duke. It's become the sexy, popular thing to do. It's kind of a part of their brand. So, of course, I want to see UConn advance, but I got the chance to be on Hurley watch the other night, sitting right next to the UConn bench, and I don't know if the casual fan, unless you have been, privy to a situation like that and gotten the chance to get that up close and personal, I don't think people understand, one, just how much of a lunatic he actually is, and then two, just from sitting and watching so close, they rely on their assistants a hell of a lot for X's and O's, benefits, and then just to keep him sane, man. He is a loose cannon, and I mean that in the most respectful way possible. I would love to, personally play for a coach like him. I think you got to see it each and every time kids came off of the floor. there was a special embrace between them, giving him words of encouragement, so on and so forth. So he's not as bad and evil as people make him out to be, but he's definitely a loose cannon.
A couple of postscripts on that. I had that experience last year sitting behind Hurley in Raleigh, and you're right, he's quite colorful. There's not a lot that you can repeat on a family show such as this one, but there was a fun moment on Friday where the lip readers were out there, and they read Dan Hurley's lips, speaking, I think to James Breeding, one of the refs, saying, hey, he was trying to hand him his glasses. And then you could read his lips where he said, do you have like laser? Have you had like talking about whether or not he's had any eye appointments done after a call that he didn't like? And then the second piece, one of the assistants just got hired in the ACC at Boston College. That would be Luke Murray, the son of Bill Murray. I'm scared to ask you this question, but I can't resist since Bill Murray's in the building. Do you have any personal relationship with Bill Murray on screen? Like, is that a thing that means anything to Linnell Willingham? I don't. Of course not.
We can cut to the chase. We can just cut to the chase. Heck no, I know nothing about Bill Murray. I know he's very famous. I know he's highly paid. I know he's highly talented. But your boy has no file. I feel like you're going to say it like a movie or something that's very obvious that everyone should have seen if they're 28 like myself. And I'm going to be like, what movie did you say?
Caddyshack.
Caddyshack. Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen Caddyshack.
Groundhog Day.
I don't think I've ever seen Groundhog Day either.
Oh, goodness. Saturday Night Live.
Hey, I know about SNL, of course.
Yeah, I've heard about that. Okay, so if you see him walking around, then maybe you just know him as a ball knower.
I would have no clue. Because I can run into Bill Murray. It could be me and Bill Murray alone in an alley. I wouldn't know who it was.
Linnell Willingham is joining us from D.C., site of Duke-UConn. So you want to see UConn advance. Is that different than what you think is actually going to happen?
I am glad you asked. The number one thing that I'm looking for here this afternoon is, one, how does Caleb Foster's foot ankle respond to the day of rest? I'm sure he was riding around on a scooter all day yesterday, keeping him off of his feet. His 19 minutes obviously were huge on Friday night for Duke, especially what he was able to do in that second half. I said it going into the game, maybe St. John's not the team to come back against because of the ball pressure that they play with. You can say the same thing about UConn in terms of, what they want to do on the defensive end of the floor. They're going to pick you up at half court. They're fighting hard through ball screens, the whole nine. So I'm eager to see how he responds. Duke is at full strength for the first time in a long time, and I think that spells bad news for the rest of the remaining contenders in this tournament. But the matchup to me that's going to determine this game is Patton Gongba and Cam Boozer going up against Alex Caravan and Terrace Reed. I'm eager to see who they put on Boozer. I feel like if it is Caravan, Caravan may have a rough night. We know how strong and physically imposing Boozer is, so I'm eager to see how it goes. I just tap danced and didn't give you an actual prediction. I think Duke probably outshoots UConn in this basketball game, but we'll see, man. If UConn can, withstand the initial blow of Duke, if they come out shooting the ball well, I think they have a chance to win it at the end.
Linnell Willingham's with us here. I like Duke to win this game. But you know what I'm going to do? I've been criticized for using this expression, but on other shows throughout our network, trying to tickle Drake Toll in the morning and then in the afternoons making Abdallah. Yeah. Let me try to tickle Linnell Willingham for a second.
I promise I'm tickle-free and sucker-free.
Okay, good to know. But you're in Cap One Arena. That's the home of the Washington Wizards. That's one of your squads. Now that you've seen Cameron Boozer up close, how high is he on your Wizards wish list?
Cam Boozer is kind of like the underwear and socks that you get on Christmas, right? Like, you need it. It's valuable to your wardrobe, but you really wanted the cool video game. That's how I kind of feel about him in his draft stock. I think he's one of the better players in this country in the world of college basketball. I'm still eager to know how his game ultimately translates to the next level, talking about it, the NBA, when he's not going to be the biggest and the quickest and the strongest guy on the floor. He's not that a lot of times in college, and he's been able to be successful. So we'll see how it ultimately works out. But nice young man. Seeing him up close in person, this is the one thing I was waiting on.
Hold on a sec. Stop.
Wait.
Stop. There's nothing that tells listeners or viewers that you don't like a player more than when you use the expression in a sports context, he's a nice guy. I've never once heard that in a sports conversation come out of the mouth of somebody that likes that person as a player. If they use the expression, he's a nice guy, that might be true, but that doesn't mean you think the player's good.
Yeah, no, you know how I feel about him. I think
I
think he's going to be big
I do now.
whether or not
I do now.
he's able to win today.
Here's one thing I do know, and we'll close with
Yes,
this
sir.
and let you try to find a media meal and get a seat and get ready for Duke-UConn as we're being joined by Linnell Willingham. Behind the scenes, it's late at night. We're in commercial breaks, and Linnell, he likes his style is like he wants to try to agitate me, and I know he's trying to. And one of the tactics that he uses, and it fails every time because he thinks that I am like emotionally attached to the Carolina Panthers. He will just casually throw into the conversation, "Oh yeah, Bryce Young sucks," or something like that to try to get me. Now, here's the thing. Why do I bring that up? Will Dalton is producing this right now. He is a Carolina Panthers fan, and he might actually take issue with what you're about to say. Would you like to share some of this late-night commentary with Will and have Will respond?
Yeah, let's have it, Linnell. Let's have it.
We could do it. I mean, I know this is supposed to be a basketball hit, but every time we talk about, Carolina sports, we got to tell you that Bryce Young is cosplaying an NFL quarterback, and he's not a real athlete.
Will? He's got his,
12
his hands in his
fourth
face.
quarter comebacks, Linnell. 12 of them.
12. Great. He threw for 3,000 yards for the
Accurate
first
as
time in his
hell.
career this year.
Pinpoint.
And it was 3,011 yards.
Oh, it's
I just give you facts.
outstanding. I'll give you a fact too. Michael Penix should have won that Heisman over Jaden Daniels. Bye, Linnell. Bye.
my God.
Hey, what are you grabbing? I think you got to get some food on the
I have no
concourse.
clue what I'm
Any pro
grabbing.
tips?
You got to let me go grab it to do that. I have no clue what we have. Last
All right,
on Friday, there was this horrible burger. They ain't melted cheese. Wasn't cooked all the way
my
through. It
God.
was trifling.
Hey, at Nell_BTP, this is me trying to get people to your X page. Maybe Linnell will show us what he's going to be eating before Duke-UConn. I'm making a request at least, so I know my guy's well fed. At Nell_BTP. Linnell, thanks for doing this, and I'll see you later this week. There goes Linnell Willingham. Going to grab some food. See,
He's really hungry.
I know the media meal situation well at Cap One Arena, and spent an entire week there at an ACC tournament a couple of years ago. And right beyond, like, one of the baskets, I should have told Linnell this, right behind the goals, the end zone, you walk up, and then right when you walk through the doors, like straight behind that backboard, there's this wing spot that's inside there. Don't think that it's like a chain of any sort. Seems like something straight out of DC. And Will, I got like a huge thing of wings in like a flimsy cardboard container. A lot of wings, very saucy. So I'm sitting right behind the Duke bench for a game right after I got all these wings. And you can see me right behind Coach Shire. And there's nothing that makes you look more like a caveman than eating wings. Pro tip to the fellas, if you take a lady out on a date, don't order wings because it doesn't make you look aesthetically pleasing whatsoever. I finish my wings, and like I said, saucy get-together in a cardboard box of sorts. And I decide, being lazy, rather than getting up and going out the exit to use, like, in the media center, like a trash can there to throw away things, I see right in front of me, literally right behind the bench, they have a trash can on the bench.
No.
So I throw it's maybe like a 5-foot throw, not even, shorter. Like a small throw. I do like a helicopter throw, and it goes in, but the sauce flies up and ends up on the back of one of the coach's seats. And some of it, smatters on the floor underneath. One of the Duke team managers or whatever saw it, but was homeboy of the year, didn't tell anybody. He's like, all right, it was a mistake. Because he knew me who I was. He's like, I got you. So I never got caught, but got a saucy get-together. It was good. It was tasty, but may or may not. I won't say what – I guess I could say what Duke coach because he's not there anymore. It was Jay Lucas's seat. Nearly got Jay Lucas with some buffalo sauce.
I think the lesson here is if you're –
Get the wings.
If you're No. If you're a media member, you probably shouldn't get something that's like super saucy, like
it was
wings.
tasty. I don't regret that.
They want to make a bet.
Maybe just don't be lazy. I mean, the wings are good. That's what I'm suggesting. Meanwhile, I'm a puddle of stress right now because, Will, you know the rule because we've been together for a long time. We've known each other for a while, that it's unavoidable. If the Orioles play during our show, crazy bleep happens. Like, the Orioles took an 8-5 lead in the last segment, and then I look up, and the Orioles have no outs and the bases loaded halfway through that conversation in the eighth. And it's 8-6. Byron Buxton's up, 2 outs, 2 strikes, 3-2 count, and he strikes out. The Orioles get out of it. So they're up 8-6 in the bottom of the eighth. Opening weekend of baseball. Glad it's back. Glad to have Linnell Willingham on the show as well. Few are more entertaining and as passionate as that guy is. That's why seeing him on the same screen as Dan Hurley is all the more fun to watch. Up next, we are about to be final on Michigan, Tennessee, so we'll recap that. Plus, perhaps my 2 hottest March Madness takes that you're probably going to hate heading into the Final Four. This is The Josh Graham Show.
The Masters, where spring blooms, legends rise, and golf's most sacred traditions come alive. Every Masters moment on the Westwood One Sports app. We're live from Augusta, starting April 9th. Westwood One Sports.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
Westwood One Sports presents Josh Graham.
Will Dalton, I'm headed to Indianapolis for the Final Four next week. You tell me which of these two takes is the hottest March Madness take I have. That One Shining Moment isn't actually a good song, or that North Carolina's the hoop state, not Indiana.
I already knew where you were going with this. It's the first one. Like, come on. Everybody, this is the time of year where Josh slanders One Shining Moment. It's a yearly tradition with him.
You could have the Sound of Silence play over highlights. And if you do it every year for 40 years, people would be like, you know what I'm looking forward to?
No.
Getting on that stage and watching on the screen, hello, darkness, my old friend. And
would
watching
not hit the same at all.
The basketball highlights are what make the song. The song doesn't make the highlights. It's the other way around. One Shining Moment, overrated. Is that a hotter take than going to the state of Indiana and saying with a bullhorn, not the real hoop states, North Carolina? Let's just look at the news. Everybody's talking about the Tar Heel job. Duke's about to go to the Final Four if they beat UConn. NC State, well, I don't know if that's a good argument for it being the hoop state when Will Wade's bailing on them. Don't know if that's exactly the case, but come on. People talk about, well, the grassroots basketball's better in Indiana. You don't produce nearly as good of players as North Carolina does. Have you heard of Michael Jordan? Have you heard of him? Where's he from? Indiana? No. Oh, but you got the movie. You got Hoosiers. That's cute. That's cute. It's cute. We've got the hoop state. We do. Your NBA team, I was about to say, flatly, your NBA team's better than ours. They went to the finals last year, Indiana. The Pacers did. But the Hornets have been
buddy.
actually pretty good of late. So that might be me. It is Sunday, and next week it is Easter Sunday. Maybe I'll be one of those people on the corner of like one of the busy streets in Indiana, like telling people about Jesus and stuff. But rather prior to that, maybe instead of that, I will instead just be professing the message that North Carolina is the real hoop state, not Indiana, and see whether or not I get assaulted.
You got to spread the good word. That's what you got to do.
That's what I'm trying to do. So we'll be doing the show from Indianapolis. Look forward to being there. Final counts in Chicago. Michigan, 95. Tennessee, 62. Wasn't much of a contest here. There was a stretch in the first half where Michigan they were trailing 16-14, and Michigan went on a 21-0 run. I think we have this sound. This is from our teammates, Westwood One Sports in Chicago. Yaxel Lindenborg doing Yaxel Lindenborg things.
Feeds it to Akpara. Free throw line floater won't go. Akpara still scoreless. Rebound Cadeau. Outlet Lindenborg on the run. Into end and a one-hand hammer. Oh my, a full head of steam for the Big Ten Player of the Year, and he throws it down. 57-34, Michigan in control.
Kevin Kugler on the call from Chicago. 3 takeaways from Michigan, Tennessee. Number 1, the Wolverines enjoyed one of the easiest paths to the Final Four we've seen a 1 seed get. It started with 16 seed Howard, and here's what's funny. Howard, strangely, even though they never led in the game, the most competitive opponent with Michigan, kind of just lingering the entire way through, still was a 21-point win for the Wolverines. They then drew mid-major St. Louis, dispatched of them by 23 points. In the Sweet 16, it was shorthanded Alabama without their arrested guard, Aiden Holloway. That was an absolute demolition. Then they draw a 6 seed in the Elite Eights, and they were completely overmatched. We mentioned the 21-0 run. Shout out to Rick Barnes for getting Tennessee to the Elite Eight for a 3rd straight season, but man, did they not look the part. The next takeaway, Michigan might have the highest ceiling of any team left in this tournament. Now, listen to what we're saying here. Does that mean that you're the best team? Well, it depends on how you define it. If your definition is who has the highest ceiling, then perhaps it is the Wolverines. But how often do you hit that peak? How often do you hit that ceiling is ultimately the question. Will Dalton, do a solid for me real quick. Now that we have the final score, can you give me a 4-game average of their margin of victory? So they win this game today by 23 points. Can you average their 4 margins of victory out so we have that number, a number you're probably going to hear a lot going into the Final Four? Because Michigan is playing incredibly well. And when Yaxel Lindenborg is hitting threes and defending guys on the perimeter, this team's next to impossible to beat. Now, he wasn't 4 of 5 from 3 like he was against Alabama, 3 of 9 today, but that's good enough. 27 points on the game, 7 boards, 4 assists. You can't have him hitting outside shots and have Elliot Cadeau being a plus player, 10 assists to just 3 turnovers. You can't have both those things happening against you when you have all the other elements as well that you have to deal with. Duke beat Michigan head-to-head, but it's obvious that neither Caleb Foster nor Patrick Gamba are playing 100% right now. The Wolverines look better than Duke does at the moment. The Arizona Wildcats, they're the team that has a case for being as good, their ceiling being as good as Michigan's. But with them, it's more of a consistency thing, less than a ceiling, because they don't have a player, with respect to Jaden Bradley, who won Big 12 Player of the Year, as good as Yaxel Lindenborg. But tell me, what was the average margin of victory for Michigan in the 4 wins so far?
22.5 points, 22.5.
Arizona's number is at 20.5. And that brings us to Saturday, where the main event, regardless of what happens in Duke-UConn, the main event Saturday is going to be Arizona, Michigan, 2 1 seeds colliding, both teams having won their 4 NCAA tournament games by more than 20 points per win. Somebody's got to win. Cannot wait to watch it. And speaking of the Final Four, the last takeaway, the Big Ten now represents half the field. Illinois cruised in the second half against Iowa to earn their first Final Four appearance in 21 years. Shout out to Deron Williams and D. Smith. Michigan, they look to win their second national title. This will be the Wolverines' 5th Final Four appearance since their championship win in 1989. Runner-up finishes, strangely enough, with the last 4. Who knows, maybe 5 straight times they get to the Final Four and get to the championship game. Spike Albrecht went nuts in a championship game in 2013, but lost to Rick Pitino's Louisville team. That was a later vacated championship for Louisville. 2018 was the most recent Michigan championship appearance, but Mo Wagner and Jordan Poole weren't able to get the win. And then you had the 2 instances in the 90s where Michigan ran up against Carolina schools, and on Tobacco Road, it was Duke beating Michigan, and then it was North Carolina beating Michigan, the Chris Webber timeout game with the Fab Five going back-to-back years, but ending up titleless. Michigan as a program, 1 national championship. That was in 1989. For the Big Ten, this is a big story. Hey, you got half the Final Four. This is just the second and third teams of the decade to get to the Final Four from the Big Ten. The previous 5 tournaments, only 1 team got there. It was Purdue in 2024. They lost in the title game to UConn. The Big Ten hasn't won a national championship collectively in more than a quarter century. 2000 was the last time it happened with Mateen Cleaves and Michigan State. So that's a huge storyline as well, and a big takeaway from Michigan demolishing the Tennessee Volunteers. Make sure, if you haven't already, you're subscribed to our YouTube channel. Go to Westwood One Sports Night. It's where you can watch the show in addition to listening to it. It's where you can find additional exclusive video content from Duke-UConn, where Linnell Willingham and Denton Day are for us. And you're going to find a lot of stuff from the Final Four, too. We'll be out there in Indianapolis from Thursday through the championship. Can't wait for that. The podcast is on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, searching Westwood One Sports Night. Who, brother, Will Dalton? The Baltimore Orioles, 2 outs in the 9th, up by 2 runs. Runner at first base. The Minnesota Twins ground to short. The ball is fumbled by Gunnar Henderson into center field. It's an error, meaning that the tying run is on base with 2 outs. Nothing goes wrong when you have an error on what would have been the final out of the game, right? Right? Nothing's about to go terribly wrong here with the go-ahead run at the plate in the top of the 9th inning. This isn't going to completely ruin my day, is it? Right?
It's just so entertaining when this happens to you live on air.
Is it entertaining
really
for
is.
you? Is it?
Yeah.
Do you enjoy
as a
this
Yankee
as well?
fan? Absolutely.
Oh,
We
as a
swept the
Yankee
Giants,
fan.
by the way, to start our season, 3-0.
Oh, that's awesome.
Us in Toronto,
So
right at
happy.
the top of the division.
So happy for you. Other games that are happening today. Fly ball left field deep. Oh, he's going back to the warning track. Got it. Caught it, and the game's over. The Orioles won it, 8-6, which means we could still have a show. The last 2 hours of this show are going to happen. Because if that ball flew out, brother.
Oh, man.
Don't know if the last couple of hours of this show would be happening. Don't know if that would be the case. Do have some bets to hand out. Actually, I just got 1 bet to hand out. One bet. And you know what, Will? Let's play a game real quick. I'm sure our friends at DraftKings are really quickly going to get lines out whenever we have the Final Four matchups that are set. We just talked about Michigan, Arizona, both having won by 20-plus apiece let's try to play the game because we'll probably know the answer at the top of the hour. You're setting the line for Arizona and Michigan. Who's favored and by how many?
I'll say Arizona by 2.5.
Wow.
That feels good.
Wow, bro. I'll say Michigan's favored. I'm going to say Michigan is favored. And this is more from like a liability standpoint in terms of there are more Michigan fans than there are Arizona fans. No, they're probably going to be more passionate Arizona fans because they haven't been in 25 years. But I'm going to say Michigan's favored by 1.5. That's what I'm saying. We'll see, but that's going to be the game. Can't wait to watch that. We'll tell you what the correct answer is because we'll probably have it in the next few minutes when we get to Graham's Gambling. Also, before it tips off, I have one big bet to place on Duke, Michigan, or on Duke-UConn, pardon. Also, we're going to have another live check-in from D.C. with Denton Day when he drops by from Cap One Arena. That bet in Graham's Gambling next on the Josh Graham Show.
This is Westwood One Sports.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
Westwood One Sports presents Josh Graham.
We have our answer to the opening line for Arizona, Michigan. Now that Final Four matchup is set, we'll tell you what that is in just a moment, because we have a bet that we need to race to the window to place. Frankly, I haven't even placed it myself because I've been too busy watching the Wolverines coast and host this show. Let's get to the window real quickly, placing a bet for Duke-UConn in Graham's Gambling.
Sitting back, count money all day, you know. It's time for Graham's Gambling. Let's make some money.
Yes, let's do just that. Will Dalton, I'm laying 4.5 with the Duke Blue Devils against the UConn Huskies. Do you have any problem with this? Make sure your mic's not muted when you try to talk to me. You shut your mouth when you talk to me.
I actually took UConn plus
What?
5.5.
Don't you have Duke winning the whole damn thing?
I do, but I like UConn to cover that.
It's only 4.5 points.
Well, I got it at 5.5.
Oh, maybe we'll middle this thing then.
I
Duke
felt better about that one.
minus 4.5. Lay the number. Duke's. You know how Bane says, I was born in the darkness, bred by it. That's Duke for this Elite Eight game. John Shire, 3 straight Elite Eights that he's been to. And you got players who have been on all those teams. Looking at you, Caleb Foster's been on them. And you got 4 guys who were on the Final Four team last year. You played in D.C. already twice. You've won those games. This is a team that's much more prepared and much more reliable than UConn is. So don't mind laying the number. Going to do just that. Duke, minus 4.5. They're more prepared for this game. UConn's overachieved, reaching the Elite Eight. The Big East wasn't all that good this year. UConn's always had letdowns, including bad losses to Marquette and Seton Hall. They got blasted by St. John's in the Big East title game. Also, Will, how do you like this analysis? Duke has Cam Boozer and UConn doesn't.
I think it's pretty solid. I do think that's going to be a big factor.
I think the math checks out on that. So Duke,
yeah,
-4.5. That's the pick. Revisiting the picks that we had on yesterday's show. See, we keep ourselves accountable here, Will. When we're right, we'll tell you. When we're lost, when we lose, we'll tell you too. I've been on the favorites all weekend long, Will. Arizona -5.5. Cha-ching. Michigan -7.5. Yeah, no issues there. Are we about to see 4-for-4 favorites win in the Elite Eight? I think so. I think Duke wins this basketball game, laying the 4.5. But now let's get to the answer that we've been setting up. Let's get to the question we've been setting up. What was the line that you said for Arizona? You said you would have Arizona as a 2.5 or a 3.5 point favorite?
A 2.5 point favorite.
Arizona, Michigan, both teams having won 20 by 20-plus point average in the 4 wins they've had in this tournament. Arizona by 1.5 is the answer. So you were closer than I was. I thought that with Michigan having the bigger alumni base, that might factor into that a bit. Michigan was going to be the slight favorite there. Not the case. Not the case. Hey, look, they got Ian Eagle, Grant Hill, and Bill Raftery on TV, and I see Brian Murphy, who just broke some news about North Carolina about 10 minutes ago regarding the Smith Center, that they're putting conversations on hold about that as they look to find a basketball coach. That's fun. That was my excuse to bring up that headline, too. So, one bet, Duke, laying the 4.5. That's what we're going to do here. And yes, Will, I just got it to the window. And by the window, I mean on my phone on DraftKings. Use code Westwood. Use code Westwood. That's been Graham's Gambling for today. Sponsored by Progressive Insurance, this segment. They protect small businesses with affordable coverage options. Get a quote today at progressivecommercial.com. Will, regretfully, I'm giving you another opportunity. I'm giving you a second chance after your abysmal effort yesterday. I realized, looking at the show lineup, that there's no NFL in today's show. There's none of it. And I've been told in as many terms, if there isn't any NFL in any of your shows, that's grounds to be fired for cause. That's grounds for that. Like, you're not going to talk about the NFL for 3 hours, but frankly, Will, I don't see anything I'm interested in. But that is an affront to you because you love everything the Shield. You represent the Shield. You wish you had a Captain America shield, but rather than it having the normal logo on it, you wished it had the NFL logo on it. You love the Shield so much that you were upset that the Carolina Panthers removed the midfield logo on their field that was an actual NFL logo, the Shield, and replaced it with your team's logo because you felt that was an affront to the thing you actually love more than your team, the Panthers, the Shield, the NFL. You love the Shield. And in fact, you know, just to tickle you in the theme of the day doing so, I'll even include the Hornets in this. Like, if this is you having an opportunity, me being quite fond of you, to
thank you,
bring interesting conversation to us, not a center's gone to play from the Panthers to the Bills. Give me something good, NFL-wise or Hornets-wise, in this segment so I can keep our jobs.
I mean, the only thing that I see NFL-wise today is the fact that if there was any doubt, Aaron Glenn just put our minds at ease. Geno Smith is going to be your starting quarterback for the New York Jets and his return.
Now that is interesting. I want to mock you, but that is interesting because why would you say that now? What's the point?
It is pretty early
now. They have Justin Fields, right? Do they still have Fields, or did they lose him?
No. Fields
Because if
is
they don't
elsewhere
have-
now. Oh, he's
he
a
went to
Chief
Kansas
now.
City. He went to
Yeah.
Kansas City. Yeah, I have no problem with Aaron Glenn saying this. Then, like, who could they potentially
Bailey
get in the
Zappi,
draft
though?
that- No. I think
Get
Aaron
zapped.
Glenn... You've been zapped! Chappelle Show fans know exactly what we're talking. You just got zapped! If you know, you know. Early Chappelle Show. Zapped on the WD. Oh, wait, the WB.
Yeah.
Just whatever. Okay, so that's pretty good. Did you want to talk about your Hornets at all before I move on from this completely?
I do.
This is your ability to drive, to steer the ship for just
Very happy to do
few
that.
moments. And I do so reluctantly because when I do let you steer it, it usually gets steered into the ditch. But this is a moment where we're relying on you a little bit.
The Hornets. See, I'm not happy about this. They had a really good opportunity in front of them last night against the Sixers, a team that is a game or was a game in front of them in the standings, and they kind of blew it. Grant Williams didn't have a great game down the stretch, but hey, they get another opportunity here. Hosting the Boston Celtics tonight at the Spectrum Center, and they're going to right the wrong. And I have the Hornets at -1.5. I'm going to cash that in tonight, and the Hornets are going to get right.
Betting regular season NBA during
I do this.
March Madness is sicko behavior.
I get
It's
in on like
frankly-
every Hornets game.
It's disgusting. When do you ever bet against the Hornets? Do you?
Well, if I think the other team, if I think the other team might cover it, but it's
Ugh.
seldom. Because quite frankly, the Hornets have been so good lately.
Yeah, I need to jump aboard because they're selling out team arenas left and right, or their own
11
arena. I
straight.
think they've had 11 straight sellouts.
Mm-hmm.
Being boots on the ground in the state of North Carolina, I should be more excited. But how do I say this in a way without me
You've been slow to come
sounding
around.
like- there was a great comedian that made a joke. And maybe if I say that he made the joke and say it, then I won't get in trouble for saying this. And he was, he's a very prominent, I think it's Gerard Carmichael, who came out as being gay. He's from Winston-Salem. And he said one of the worst parts, I think, of being gay is everyone assumes you like that Macklemore song. That was one of the jokes that he had. See, being in North Carolina and hosting a sports show, I hate that people assume that I like the Charlotte Hornets, that I'm like a huge diehard Charlotte Hornets fan. Like, we get the callers who are like, hey, Charlotte Hornets basketball, everybody. Oh, man, you psyched for LaMelo? And then they start doing 6, 7, 6. And I don't. It's not. It's
He
not
hasn't been
what
on the
gets me
bandwagon.
going. I really haven't. I love Con Knipple. I was early on betting him Rookie of the Year, and I will profit greatly when that hits. Yes, sir. Big Con Knipple fan. But in terms of the team itself, I don't know, man. It's weird. Because the standings don't seem to match the level of excitement. Because I hear people we're so good and we're pumped about it. And then I
do you
look
know
at the
why that
standings
is?
and they're still 10th.
Do you know why that is?
Because other teams, 9 teams, have more wins and losses? Or
Well,
more
no,
wins
because
than
they started the
Hornets
season
do?
the way they did. But in how they are playing, they're a top 5 team in the East.
But that's the other thing. If you're a top 5 team in the East, but you're not the Pistons, the Celtics, or maybe the Knicks, then why the hell does that even matter? Why does
Because
it matter?
It's about how you're playing now.
Right.
And how you've been
Okay.
playing for the last several months.
We're one of the 5 best teams in the East, but only 3 teams can win the East. Maybe 2. That's it. We're
They
one
had
of
to
the 5.
catch up, is all.
That's the issue that I have. Where it's okay to feel happy directionally, that this is great, that the team's playing well and they're fun. The standard for Hornets basketball isn't high. It's not. Like, think about the teams that people love back in the 90s when it was cool to rock the starter gear and the Hornets gear and all that stuff. You know, wear the teal and the purple, great colors. People love those teams. Larry Johnson, Alonzo Mourning, and, you know, these Muggsy Bogues. They won one playoff series during that time. Like, the standard's so low that if you win just be fun. Charlotte's that, and they're proving
they're
to us
fun.
that the standard is, in order for people to talk about you as if you're the mid-2000s LeBron Heatles, is just being fun. And it doesn't matter if you're 10th in the East. That's my thing with the Charlotte Hornets. It's, I guess,
But they're
multiple
more
things.
than fun. They're really good. Since January 15th, they had the second best record in the NBA, behind only the Spurs at 25-8. So,
You're going to have me looking up Gerard Carmichael bits because that dude rules. He's Winston-Salem's finest. Shout out to him.
yeah.
Big fan of his work. Up next, why this will be a special Final Four regardless of what happens in Duke-UConn, which is underway. And the Dodgers just took something and made it better. We'll tell you what that is as you keep it tuned to the Josh Graham Show.
The weather is heating up, and so is the sports calendar. We are your home of the Final Four, the Masters, and the NFL Draft, taking you inside the sports you care about. Westwood One Sports.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
Westwood One Sports presents Josh Graham.
Next week, Westwood One Sports will be the exclusive audio home of the Final Four. I'll be boots on the ground in Indy, doing shows from there. And regardless of what happens with Duke-UConn, the Blue Devils, pounding it inside the Cam Boozer, and UConn not having many answers early on. 19-12 the score, and Boozers go into the line for two. Regardless of what happens in this game, it's going to be a special Final Four in Indianapolis. They actually said that it was a foul on the floor. And Duke says, that's cool. We'll just find the other Boozer, Caden, for a three on the right wing, putting the Blue Devils up by 10. This Final Four in Indy is going to be really special because it's a long time coming for two passionate fan bases. Arizona going to its first Final Four since 2001. The Wildcats at that point had Gilbert Arenas and Richard Jefferson and were runner-ups that year. These Wildcats, they're looking to be the first West Coast team to win a national title since, well, Arizona in Indy, 1997. Shout out to Mike Bibby and Jason Terry. Then you got Illinois. Here's the text, Will, that I've received over the last 24 hours quite a bit. Do you realize that Indianapolis is going to be dominated by Illinois fans? I responded, I did not know that. But apparently, with Illinois having not been to the Final Four in 21 years, that's D. Brown, that's Darren Williams falling to North Carolina. Illinois has never won a national championship before. I'm being told that that's the fan base that's going to take over, but Arizona has actually had the longest drought, having not been in 25 years.
I was thinking about this last night when Illinois won the game. I was like, oh boy, that place is going to be packed with Illinois fans, like in a big way.
So Illinois fans are expected to show out. Arizona, the crew from Tucson, going to be well represented, you would think, too. And we're going to get two massive mainstay brands there as well. Michigan is going to its 5th Final Four since the program's only championship in 1989. The Fab Five couldn't win it. Neither could Spike Albrecht. Neither could Trey Burke. Neither could Mo Wagner and Jordan Poole in 2018. Duke, it'll either be Duke or UConn. Duke is looking to go back to the Final Four for the 2nd straight year. The last 2 times they went to the Final Four, absolute heartbreak. Losing to North Carolina in Coach K's last game. Blowing a late lead against Houston. Awful ways to go down. Duke trying to win its 6th national championship. UConn is looking to win a 3rd title in 4 years and their 7th title since 1999. Nobody else has more than 3 titles over that period. So we're talking about Illinois and Arizona fans taking over. Hold a minute. Michigan's got a pretty deep alumni base too, and you're going to have Duke or UConn in the building there. That tells me we're looking at a really special Final Four. And if Duke beats UConn, Duke off to a good start in this game. Coaching is going to be central to the storyline too. Because as it stands, Illinois coach Brad Underwood, Arizona's Tommy Lloyd, and Michigan's Dusty May, none of them have won a championship before. John Shire hasn't either. Dan Hurley's won twice. So if Shire's there, you're guaranteed to have a first-time national championship winning coach. And it would be cool to see, as there are so many legends retiring. We have a few still left in the old guard. Tom Izzo, Rick Pitino, and let's not forget about John Calipari and Bill Self. Who knows if Bill Self is going to remain in the position at Kansas. But we've lost Roy Williams to retirement, Coach K, Jim Boeheim, Jay Wright, Tony Bennett. These are national championship winning coaches that we've lost in a short period of time. So right now, Will, the active list of national championship winning head coaches is 7 names long. How many do you think you'll be able to get off the top of your head, Will? I've even said some in this segment. How many national championship, before you start rattling them off, how many of the 7 do you believe you could get right now?
I feel like I could get 3.
I would hope so, considering I've said 3 of the coaches' names in the last 2 minutes. I've said actually 4 in the last 2 minutes.
Calipari.
Yeah.
Hurley.
So those are 3, and there's another coach who's
Todd Golden.
Actually, there are 2 coaches' names that I've said in the last couple of minutes too that are on this list. So you've got Izzo, you got Calipari, you got Todd Golden.
Said Hurley.
Okay, you got Dan Hurley. That's 4. There are 3 left, Will.
Feel like I should be able to get this.
Again, especially since I've said 2 of the 3, their names in the last couple of minutes. I venture to say you can do it. I believe in you.
It's not Bill Self, or is it? He hasn't.
Bill Self, he's won 2 national championships, including against your team.
Oh, that's right.
Yes.
He was there in that time. Yeah.
Yeah, he is one of the 2. Mm-hmm.
All right. So what do I have?
Or
2 more to go.
Remaining 3. Yeah. One's a no-brainer who hasn't won it in a while that we brought up in this segment, and another has won it this decade.
Pitino.
There are your hints. Thank you. Yes, Rick Pitino won with Kentucky. And the last one is the one that I thought you might not get because you can be forgetful. I gave you a hint. Pretty big hint. That's a massive hint that I gave you.
This is terrific radio.
I think it's excellent. Do you want to give a guess?
Well, I don't have a guess on my tongue right now. I'm trying to think back all the years.
Oh, are you like Kenny Smith in the game that they were trying to play at halftime yesterday when he was asked to name his favorite player in the tournament and didn't answer because it was pretty clear he couldn't name a player? And then he was asked, hey, who's the coach you'd like to play for? Pass is what he said because he couldn't name the coach either.
I'm just trying to think back to all the different years and remember who I haven't named yet.
This decade. That was my hint, Will. One of the years in this decade hasn't been finished, and another
Tony Bennett's not here anymore.
Oh my God! And another tournament didn't happen in 2020 because of COVID. So we're really just talking about 5 tournaments here, and so it's not a long list I'm asking you to pull from. Holy bleep!
Well, I got 6 of the 7.
The answer. What if I gave you the year? 21.
Oh. Who won it in 21?
COVID tournament. Indy.
That was. Oh, jeez.
You're not going to get it.
UCLA was in the Final Four, but they didn't finish the deal.
To Jalen Suggs. I lost to Gonzaga. And then Gonzaga lost to?
Oh, I'm struggling.
It's Scott Drew.
I genuinely don't remember. Oh, there you go. Yeah, I wouldn't have remembered that.
No, pretty obviously. So now let's shift conversation to baseball. We have history having been made today, Will. History. The Orioles won 8-6 in the 9th against the Twins. But in the 9th, a manager got thrown out of a game because he felt the umpires gave closing pitcher Ryan Helsley too much time to initiate a challenge.
Oh.
So our first ABS challenge-related ejection happened at the end of Orioles Twins in the last hour. Shout out to Derek Shelton, who thought that they gave Ryan Helsley too much time calling for a challenge. The former Pirate
Did they give him
manager,
too much time?
I don't know. Whatever. And the other thing that is newsworthy, the Dodgers this weekend have had their new toys front and center. Kyle Tucker with a go-ahead hit in the 8th to put the Dodgers in a win Friday, and Edwin Diaz closing it out. And then Kyle Tucker had a sick catch. I think that was last night at right, robbing a home run. And they brought Edwin Diaz out again. Edwin Diaz, entering the game, Will, has the same walk-up music with the trumpets that he had with the Mets. But the Dodgers said, nah, we got to do it better. And the way that they've done it better is with a live trumpeter both nights. Here's how that sounded.
Edwin Diaz coming on for his Dodger debut. Start those horns, baby.
There it is.
And your attention, please.
Attention, please.
Attention for the Dodgers. Number 3,
Edwin Diaz.
Edwin Diaz.
So, shout out. I don't know her name, but it's the same lady both nights who is playing a live trumpet right next to the bullpen when Edwin Diaz is checking into the game, when he's coming in to pitch, which is pretty cool, but I have questions. Got a few questions here. She's wearing an Edwin Diaz jersey. The Dodgers have stupid money. We know this. Are they paying this lady to be there for every home game just in the event that Edwin Diaz comes in to close? Is that what's happening here? Because that then prompts follow-ups, such as reporters asking, hey, Edwin's pitched 2 of the last 3 nights or in the last 2 nights. Is he available tonight? And Dave Roberts says no. Does that mean she gets the night off?
Probably.
Does she know Edwin Diaz? Like, are they friends? Like, are they like, is she getting signals? Is she getting texts from Edwin saying, hey, I think I'm going in tonight, so make sure you have the trumpet playing real well. Get you ready to go.
They had to have been introduced.
Is this a good gig? Is this a good gig if you are a professional musician, you're a professional trumpeter, if you are just Edwin Diaz's trumpeter for Dodger home games?
I mean, that's like the most exclusive trumpet player on the planet right there.
Are there
At least
other
at this
ways?
time.
Are there other ways you can use the trumpeter since she's already there? The same way that we have an organist, and the Dodger organist is iconic. Like, are there ways that the organist and the trumpeter can go back and forth? But then you might be taking away how special it is to have the trumpet play when he's introduced. But then what happens if the Dodgers? What happens if the Dodgers go in a slump or they win by 1 million in 3 or 4 straight home games? Then she's just sitting there. Like, does she like baseball so much that she's just going to be sitting there eating nachos, maybe not working tonight?
I bet she likes that paycheck she gets to do it. I guarantee you that.
Okay, so according to Uber Dodger fan Mike Martinez, Tatiana Tate is her name. And what he thinks happens, this is his theory, she comes in to the ballpark around the 6th inning or so. So she's not hanging out there for the whole game.
Okay.
She leaves as soon as she plays and then beats traffic both ways. But I push back on that piece. How are you beating traffic? Oh, are you saying that she doesn't stick around to see if Diaz gets the save? She's like, I'm performing the song. I know all the fans are going to stick around to watch him pitch. I don't give a rip. I'm leaving. I'm out. I'm hitting the ball. I'm hitting the parking lot before he even records the first out. And I'm out.
I guarantee you that's what she's doing.
That's quite a
She
theory.
probably isn't even a baseball fan. I guarantee it.
Excellent. I love that. I love that if that's the case. I'm going to get Tatiana Tate on the show, and I want to ask her all these questions. That's what we're going to do. If I wasn't at the Final Four the entire week, oh, my God. Just they flash some UConn fans that have actual Husky, like, masks on their heads with shades and the tongue out that jarred me for a second. I probably should be updating that. And they're doing the 6-7. Clearly they're kids. Duke 30, UConn 21. That's the score. And now we got Dan Hurley with a bewildered look on his face. Oh, just great times. Michael Jordan was asked about the GOAT conversation, and he gave the correct answer. You'll hear that, and we'll react next.
The NFL Draft is less than a month away, and we will take you behind the curtain, literally live from Pittsburgh for the 2026 Draft, with exclusive interviews of your team's picks from your home of the NFL, Westwood One Sports.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will be in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
Westwood One Sports presents Josh Graham.
Cameron and Caden Boozer 21, UConn 21. That sounds like it's a pretty good game, right? Well, Duke has other players that have scored as well. It is 38-21 Duke over the UConn Huskies currently. So not much to see there. We'll keep you posted on things. Denton Day is going to join us when this game heads to halftime from Washington, D.C. The Blue Devils dominating behind their freshman duo. Frankly, Will, don't think we've seen the boozers enough in commercials. Haven't seen enough boozers in NCAA tournament commercials yet. They're only in 6 of them.
Well, there's the one with the windshield wiper fluid. I know that.
What's that blue liquid? Windshield wiper fluid. And then there's the one where they're walking around Duke.
Yeah.
That's private. Now you see it, now you don't. Now you see it, now you don't. I never feel more manipulated by advertising than I do during the NCAA tournament because I can recite every commercial almost by heart. Like the Capital One commercials with Samuel L. Jackson, Magic Johnson, Charles Barkley, and Jennifer Garner. Jennifer Garner being there, by the way, is just the weirdest part of the mix, the weirdest part of the tandem. Caitlin Clark.
Well, she's been on that for
Don't
years.
Don't use my face as a backboard. I've seen every single one of these commercials. All of them. Was that a motorcycle?
You heard that?
Yeah.
I'm like right next to a main road, and every once in a while we'll get somebody who thinks it's Need for Speed up here, and they'll just do that or just rev it up, and it's kind of loud.
Why is Need for Speed your go-to there? Not Fast and Furious? Need for Speed?
Because I'm a video
you
game
nerd.
guy.
Like, here's how we know you're a video game guy. Let's play. This is where we encourage people to watch on YouTube, watch on X, at Josh Graham Show, and at Westwood One Sports Night. Is that a PlayStation figure? Like, is that
Yeah,
like
it's
a
like the logo.
PlayStation? Why do you have that?
Well, somebody gave it to me, but it's cool. Like, it lights up. I don't have it plugged in right now, but it's there.
Why don't you have it plugged in if it's going to be part of your feature here? You know what?
Because
I want you to plug it in. That's what I want. I want to see that thing light up so that I know what it looks like, frankly. Honestly, if we're going to go to your background and look at it and you're going to disrupt things, or I guess the guy on the motorcycle is going to disrupt things. But I never feel more manipulated than I do during March Madness with all of these commercials, and I feel like I know them verbatim. And this is just a way to encourage advertisers for this show to say, hey, advertising, it does work. It does work, and you should sponsor every bit of what we're doing here on Westwood One Sports. Will Dalton, gosh, I want to move on. Let's see it. If you're watching on YouTube,
It turns
or
out.
X, oh my gosh, it does
You
light
got-
up really brightly.
Yeah.
If it wasn't so nerdy, I would think that's pretty cool. I would. I like
Not
the
bad,
idea
right?
of having like one of those neon signs in the studio here, in the studio space. I don't know what my neon sign would read, but
Get an Oreo
something
sign.
that I've considered. Now you have good ideas. Now let's get to the greatest of all time. Michael Jordan once again showcased why he's the true basketball GOAT. Because the key is never, in fact, saying that you're the greatest. Because if there's something the greatest would not do, it's actually say that they're the greatest. Leave that to the others. This is a different tack than LeBron. LeBron, it was a cringy look shortly after he won the title in 2016 with Cleveland. Cleveland! That one's for you! And he flippantly said, oh, this one makes me the greatest of all time. LeBron needs to take some basketball numbers from Mike. Should take some interview numbers as well. Because on CBS Sunday Mornings today, Mike addressed the subject this way.
Michael Jordan is 63 and wears many titles, though there is one he would prefer not to hold. Is there room for more than one GOAT in basketball?
There's no such thing as GOAT, to me.
No such thing?
Not to me. Yeah, it's only because I think we learn from other athletes, we progress the game. To say that one is better than the other,
He doesn't believe in it. And that's, again, a great way to put it. It's how he feels. The only time Michael came close to referring to someone as the greatest is when he talked about his childhood idol, David Thompson, who was the greatest ACC basketball player ever at NC State. Mike admired Thompson, the man formerly called the Skywalker, so much that he chose to have Thompson on stage with him, introducing him, inducting him into the Basketball Hall of Fame. Now, if you don't follow auto sports much, Michael has become an important figure in NASCAR. He's recently become a successful race team owner alongside Denny Hamlin. Tyler Reddick, one of their racers, he won 3 straight races at one point, which is almost unheard of in that sport. But he also won a court case against NASCAR earlier this year. That's a result that looks like it's going to help the sport be more forward-thinking and evolve more. But the most fascinating part of this conversation, given Michael's love of auto racing and owning a team and all that, was when Michael said this when asked on CBS Sunday mornings about that passion.
I look at the cars. Have you ever even been in a car? It seems like your body wouldn't fit in a car.
I can't fit.
So you've never been in a car and
No.
never driven?
No.
Do you want to?
I would probably try to go as fast as Denny Hamlin and some of these other guys, knowing I don't have the talent to do so. I'd probably run it straight into that wall, but that doesn't change my desire. I love the sport.
He's never been in a car, despite loving racing so much. So he's an all-time basketball legend. He's a billionaire businessman, used to own an NBA franchise, successful race car owner. This is what we call GOAT behavior from Michael Jordan. And he's the quintessential North Carolinian. He played basketball for the Tar Heels. He loves race car driving and also competitively fishes as well. Don't know how much Blue Rock tournament coverage we're going to have here, an annual fishing competition that Michael takes part in with a luxury fishing boat. But he does that as well. And while we're talking about the state of North Carolina, it only seems right to point out that all these fascinating headlines are coming from the Hoop State. 2 more names are close to being written off in the Tar Heel coaching search. Jeff Goodman reporting TJ Otzelberger has indicated to him he's not in the mix at that job. Mark Byington just signed a contract extension with Vanderbilt, and Vanderbilt put out a tweet today saying we're not done yet. There have been some other extensions out there, including Nate Oates apparently getting some assurances on things from Alabama. We've said for a while now, Tommy Lloyd is the primary guy you go for. If you don't get Tommy Lloyd, then you're probably going to end up hiring Billy Donovan because you're not going to get Dusty May. That doesn't seem realistic at all. But then again, if you think you could get Tommy Lloyd, then why wouldn't you think you can get Dusty May too? So those will be your top 2 options, and then you try to default on Billy Donovan. And if he shoots you down, then you reapproach on the Otzelberger hire, because what Jeff's reporting is Otzelberger's out of the mix. Not that he wouldn't have interest in the job if Carolina has expressed a ton of interest. Those are 2 totally different things. Then you get to NC State. NC State flew to St. Louis, Missouri, interviewed with St. Louis Billiken head coach Josh Schertz, who just signed a 6-year extension with the Billikens earlier this week, looking to have Schertz replace Will Wade in Raleigh. Schertz has turned them down or has removed himself from consideration. Probably the right move. He could play his cards wisely and get a better job than NC State. It's not a great job when you're having to go head-to-head with Duke and Carolina for recruits and in the same area. It's not an easy job. Phillip Rivers once said it right. Wolfpack ain't for soft people. And that's a tough one. Which is why hiring one of your own after you get abandoned 1 year in by Will Wade, that's the way to do it. Justin Gainey is right there as the associate head coach at Tennessee. And guess what? His season just ended. So now he's available. 3 straight Elite 8 appearances. He went to NC State. He's from the state of North Carolina. He also recruited at a high level at Arizona. This is a home run hire. That is the guy you go get. If you're NC State, just go ahead and do it. And then there's Duke that's in action right now. The Blue Devils are up by 19 points right now, Will Dalton, handing it to the UConn Huskies, and they have the ball right now looking to add more. This is the part that might surprise you. Do you realize that this is only the 10th meeting all time between Duke and UConn, and they haven't played in a dozen years? 2014 was the last time they played.
I knew it had been a while, but I didn't know it was that long.
Yeah, and this is the 6th meeting in the NCAA tournament. Duke holding a 3-2 edge, but those two losses are memorable. 99, one of the greatest Duke teams ever, lose in the national championship, the first Husky national title. And then 2004 in the Final Four, UConn winning a thriller against J.J. Redick's Devils, 79-78. So some really memorable games. Christian Laettner, of course, hitting a big shot at the buzzer to beat UConn. These two, a lot of history, but not as much as you might think head-to-head. It's been a while since they've played. Up next, a live report from D.C. of this Duke, where this Duke-UConn game's being played, and we need to talk about one of the performances next.
This is Westwood One Sports.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
Westwood One Sports presents Josh Graham.
Approaching halftime at Capital One Arena in Washington, D.C. Duke handling things against UConn. We'll have a live report from the arena in just a couple of minutes. Before we get there, though, the one team that you can look at as having a better resume than Duke so far this year, Duke only 2 losses, is the Arizona Wildcats that won last night. They only have 2 losses as well, scheduled incredibly difficult competition out of conference. They won the Big 12 Conference as well. We'll tell you more about the Tommy Lloyd piece and how he announced himself as one of the sports elite coaches in just a bit, because right now we're visiting with our guy, Denton Day, who joins us, our normal producer during the week, the glue guy for Westwood One Sports Night. So the good news for UConn is that they outscored the Boozers by 2 points, 29-27. The bad news is Duke has more than 2 players, and the Huskies trail 44-29. But keeping it with Caden and Cameron, who combined for that 27. Whose half was more impressive to you, D-Day, watching it up close?
It was definitely Cam. I talked to somebody before the game started, and I said, I've seen Cam Boozer a couple times in person now, and I'm still waiting to be, really, really wowed. Walk away from a game saying, all right, this guy's definitively the best player in college basketball. And I know we only have played 1 half out of 2, but for the first half, he has been the best player on the floor, bar none. His vision is impeccable. He's doing it on defense, and he's hitting his shots, getting to the free throw line. I mean, this is the perfect Cam Boozer kind of performance in the first half.
How high up? I asked Linnell this. He then kind of gave a coded answer trying to be friendly. He can't hide his emotions, though. That's what's great about Linnell. He started to get into the answer and said, he's a really nice guy. And at that point, we figured out, Linnell's not a huge fan of Cameron Boozer's game. As a Wizards fan and the Wizards, you're in the Wizards building, you've seen Cam Boozer up close a handful of times now. How high up is he on your Wizards wish list in the draft?
I guess I'd put him in probably 3 or 4, with Caleb Wilson and A.J. DeBonsta being the definitive 1-2. You can then kind of get into the prospective of need. Do you want a point guard? Do you want a big guy if you're Washington? But look, man, I think he's played really well today. He's been the dominating force, and it's been really nice to see that. The vision stuff is stuff you can't teach. Like, you either have the vision or you don't. Trust me, I've had glasses for almost 30 years, right? You just either have it or you don't, and he has it. And some of the looks that he's been giving his team tonight has been really, really good. And Duke, to their credit, look, man, they're a talented group. You know this, but they're hitting the looks too. I mean, this has been one of the great, I think, talent flexes that I've seen from Duke, at least in the first few times that I've seen them play.
I'm still waiting for Linnell to tell us what he selected for his pregame meal. What was your strategy at Cap One Arena?
Well, so I don't know what he had. They gave us like meal vouchers. I'm a tendies
Yeah.
guy, so I got some chicken tenders, and we basically all of us kind of raced. So like Addie Bates is with us here too, the producer of the Drake Toll Show, and we all raced upstairs. So we learned on Friday they had chicken tenders available down where the media is, but they were bringing them from upstairs to downstairs, and in that case, they were very soggy. You can't have soggy tendies. So we went to the actual an actual place on the concourse today, and the tendies were popping, right? They were tendied, as they say. So the tenders worked today.
I'm asking this more of a 1,000-foot view question. Arizona has won its tournament games by an average of 20 points per win. Michigan's won its tournament games by an average of 22 points per win. And right now, Duke at halftime's leading UConn a 2 seed by 15 points. Assuming Duke finishes this off and doesn't, knock on wood, have any more injuries or anything of that sort, and continues to impress, when all three teams are playing its best, whose ceiling do you believe is the highest between the three?
I would say Duke, because I think they're more talented than everybody else. I mean, really, the guy that I've been the most impressed with, at least in the 2 games here in D.C., has been Isaiah Evans. He's a shot maker, man, and he's made some really, really tough shots. He's so good at creating separation between him and whoever's guarding him. And sometimes that's off the dribble. Sometimes that's just off-ball movement. I mean, he's been the guy, at least through the first 3 halves, if you will, that I've seen here in D.C. that has been the most impressive. And I think when Duke is playing at the height and the peak of their powers, they're so talented that their ceiling is higher than everybody else's.
Will Dalton, do you want to give D-Day the pro tip that you have been given when you cover tournament games, what to do when the weekend is finished, when a regional or a first and second rounds finish, what you do in the post game? Do you want to share with D-Day your pro tip?
What was my pro tip?
How you steal stuff? That's just what you do?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I'm so sorry.
I should do that.
So here's what you do. Like,
This
I'm
is what
looking
Will
right
does.
now at an ESPN ACC network sign up on my shelf here that I got in Charlotte a couple of weeks ago. Here's what you do. You kind of sneak out early when they're taking down a lot of the signage, or maybe
Post-game
before
pressers
that.
finish up,
And just grab you something, because there's so much
it looks
stuff going on.
It looks great in your setup. They're not using it. They're about to throw it away. So we say steal it. It's not like something they're going to use. So like the signs that say, hey, Duke post game, or one of the placards or something like that.
Yeah.
It's a nice little souvenir that you can get on the way out, D-Day. Just a pro tip.
We might have to do that. I wonder what they go for on eBay. It's not like I need one of those in my
Probably
office, but I'll take some extra cash.
That's a good call. You and Will sound like you would connect a great deal. Yes, hashtag capitalism. D-Day, enjoy the second half. Thanks for doing this.
Yeah, appreciate it, fellas.
There he goes, Denton Day. Westwood One Sports Night, Glue Man. That's his title. See, he's speaking your love language there, talking about eBay, and you're the type of guy. Martinez, you just tell me like a yay or nay in my ear whether or not this is scumbag behavior or if this is like actual something commendable, something we should be celebrating on a show such as this. He goes to Goodwill and finds like athletic gear or athletic equipment and then takes that to athletic stores and then makes a profit off of it, because generally they'll pay you more than what Goodwill is charging. Is that scumbag behavior, or is that just good old capitalism? Just need an opinion on that in my ear, Mike Martinez. So I'm not the only one feeling that way. All right?
What's the verdict here?
I don't know what the verdict is. Mike Martinez, I I just need, maybe the audience can tell us. 310-840-4910.
It's called hustling. That's what it is.
You could text, you could call.
Side hustle.
Swaggy McNolegs writes in, Wu-Tang forever. Yes. You could chime in that way, 310-840-4910 if you want in the other way. Let's get to Tommy Lloyd in Arizona now. So Tommy Lloyd announced himself as one of the sport's elite coaches with the win last night for the Wildcats. Whatever that top group of coaches is, however many people you feel is in that group, Tommy Lloyd's now in that group because he engineered a dream season for the Wildcats. First Final Four appearance since 2001. Since then, there's been a lot of turmoil. Lute Olson getting sick. Sean Miller, the setbacks there. The FBI situation, let's not forget there. But speaking of Lute Olson, it was a really cool moment after the game, and we have the sound of this, where Tommy Lloyd had a tremendous tribute while being interviewed by Howie LaForce on TNT.
Personally, I feel good. What I'm most happy for is these Arizona fans. You guys deserve this. Hey.
That's coach of the nation.
Hey, I know this. I know. Hey, there's a good-looking guy with white hair looking down on us right now that's happy.
Lute! This team has a perfect roster and a perfect resume. No holes on it. Only 2 losses. D-Day surprised me with that answer, by the way. When he said that he felt Duke had the most talent and their ceiling was the highest. Arizona's my favorite team that's left standing. I think Michigan might have the highest ceiling when they're playing well. But D-Day was at that Michigan-Duke game, and I've covered several Duke games throughout the season. I don't know why I'm not there yet in terms of Duke being as good as Arizona. I thought they'd beat Michigan when they did. I did. If they meet again, I'm probably going to take Michigan in a rematch. And to run it back, I think Duke would rather see Arizona than see Michigan, which tells me that Michigan's the team that you should be most afraid of when the tournament gets here. But keeping it with Arizona, the way that Tommy Lloyd's built this roster, it's super impressive. Even though Arizona doesn't have the most money, Arizona still, Tommy Lloyd landed 2 5-star recruits, Braden Burries and Kobe Pete. For years. Do you know what Tommy Lloyd's primary responsibility was when he was working for Mark Few all those years? Like, if you're wondering how Gonzaga became Gonzaga, how did that happen with Mark Few? And why Tommy Lloyd was the guy to hire off that staff? Tommy Lloyd, if you wondered for the last 2 decades, how did Gonzaga get all of these really good international players? The answer is Tommy Lloyd. Tommy Lloyd is one of the best international recruiters there is. Like, let's just go through the list of Gonzaga players that Tommy Lloyd has been given the credit for recruiting to Spokane. Sabonis, Hachimura, Ronnie Turiaf, Kelly Olynyk, Killian Tilly, and you could go even further than that. And he's done the same thing at Arizona. Karchenkov and Krivas and De La Rosso. They've got a lot of players from foreign countries that they've brought in because Tommy Lloyd has all those contacts. So the next week goes one of 2 ways, Will. Now that they've won in impressive fashion and got past the Elite Eight, maybe that's all they needed to do and they're just going to sail from here. They got past the biggest hurdle, getting to the Final Four for the first time in 25 years. So now they're just going to roll the same way that Nova did in 2018 or the UConn teams under Hurley rolled on their way to a title. Either that happens with Arizona and they're cutting down nets 8 days from now, or Tommy Lloyd succumbs to the distraction about the North Carolina opening the entire week, a la Roy Williams in the 2003 Final Four, shout out to Bonnie Bernstein, and then leaves for the North Carolina job. Because I think he's the North Carolina head coach if he doesn't win the national championship. I believe that. And if he does, I don't think he leaves for the North Carolina job if he does win it all. Tommy Lloyd. He's announced himself. I don't know how long that list is or what exactly that list is when talking about the elite coaches in the sport, but Tommy Lloyd is in that group, and that's why North Carolina should prioritize him as the coach that they go after. This segment is sponsored by our friends at Progressive Commercial Insurance, protecting small businesses with affordable coverage options. Get a quote today at progressivecommercial.com, getting more into some of those halftime numbers. Duke 44, UConn 29. The Blue Devils out-rebounding UConn 22-13, so nearly a double-digit margin there. They're up 15 in the game. Duke shooting 50% from the field. Only have attempted, both teams have attempted 11 threes. UConn's only hit one. So, hey, Will, is it good when you're shooting a robust 9.1% from three-point range? I don't
No,
think
that's
so.
not good at all.
It's not ideal. Not really. So UConn's attempting threes. They're not hitting any of them. And the Duke Blue Devils, they're getting in the lane. They have 16 points in the paint already, 14 second chance points off of 8 offensive rebounds. A dominant first half where two players, the two brothers, the Boozers, nearly outscore UConn. UConn had 29 and a half. The Boozers had 27. We have plenty more to recap from that first half. Also, how about the other game from last night where another masterclass coaching performance was put on display? We'll tell you about that and also get to the other game we saw earlier today next on the Josh Graham Show.
The Masters, where spring blooms, legends rise, and golf's most sacred traditions come alive. Every Masters moment on the Westwood One Sports app. We're live from Augusta, starting April 9th. Westwood One Sports.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will be in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
Westwood One Sports presents Josh Graham.
You want to know one of the bigger pet peeves of yours truly? And it really is loser behavior. Foul counting. Can't stand it. But since it's Duke that's winning by 15, and you know that people hate Duke, you're going to hear from folks saying, well, UConn has been called for 10 fouls. Duke was only called for 4. And here's an idea that's going to blow the minds of some people. And just the way that they view sports is forever going to be changed by what's about to come out of my mouth. Sometimes teams don't foul a lot. Sometimes the reason one team has a lot more fouls than the other is because that team fouled more often than the other. Like, some people live in this warped world where the referees, they make people foul. That's what they believe. It's the referees have chosen that this is going to be the number of fouls that happens in this basketball game because they are the gatekeepers of fouling. But no, it turns out that often the really good teams do not foul a ton, especially when the teams are more imposing in the post. So maybe it's not a coincidence that Duke has close to 10 more rebounds than UConn does, yet doesn't have a lot of fouls being called on them. Like, this is not some crazy idea. Tennessee called for 6 more fouls than Michigan was. Is it because there's a grand conspiracy? Do I need to grab the tinfoil cap and bring Conspiracy Josh in here? Is that what we need to do? Or can we just accept that perhaps the reason teams are called for fewer fouls sometimes is because they foul less? Like, people want it to be 7 fouls on this team, 7 fouls on this team. They want it to be even more than they want the fouls just to be correctly adjudicated. Purdue called for more fouls than Arizona was. Get the X-Files theme. There's a grand mystery that needs to be solved here. Come on. We get it. People don't like Duke. Will Dalton, how often do we need to remind people of that fact whenever we're talking about, air quote, conspiracies or controversies regarding the Blue Devils?
Just about every time.
Yeah. And again,
people hate Duke.
And here's what happens. When you say this, I live in North Carolina, I get it. You're going to get hit with, oh, that's because you're a Duke fan. Clearly you love Duke. That's why. I don't care, man. I don't care who wins these games. I love these games, and I love watching these teams play. If UConn won, I'd be happy going to Indianapolis and watching UConn play. If it's Duke, man, the Subway sandwich I'm about to eat in about an hour is going to taste the same, regardless who wins this game. I promise you. I mean that from the bottom of my soul. Do you know what team on the court I'm actually rooting for in this game? The refs. Yeah, I'm the ref guy. I'm going to defend the officials. You know who one of the refs in this game is, Will? That'd be Roger Ayers.
That's right.
The flyest ref in all of college basketball. Roger Ayers, which is a really fun name to hear Northerners pronounce. Roger Ayers. You also got Tony Chiazza and Michael Reed. That's the team on the court that I'm rooting for. Duke, up by 15 points at the moment. Caden Boozer has 13 points. He hasn't missed a shot. Caden, not Cam. Cam has 16 points leading the way, 5 rebounds, or 6 rebounds now, and 3 assists. He's doing his thing. But Caden Boozer, 13 points, 4 of 4 from the field, has 3 assists, 4 rebounds, 2 steals. He's done it all. And here's a basket, courtesy of our guy, Scott Graham, not to be confused with my dad, but, you know, the Hall of Fame caliber broadcaster, on the call for Westwood One Sports.
Still a 17-point game with 3:34 to go first half. Gongba holding up on top. Caden Boozer on the run down the lane. His shot is up and it's good. Same spot right around Malachi Smith.
Yeah, they're behind the play. There's not nearly enough get into position like on that handoff. They're chasing it the whole way and there's nobody stepping out. It's just too easy for Duke.
Hey, that's Tom Crean. He was on our show yesterday. He was. Good to hear them. Again, thank you for attending my TED Talk. If you are a foul counter and a foul conspiracy guy, odds are you're a dork. Odds are you're a loser. Odds are you're a booger picker. That's what you are. And whatever one you think is the most... Will Dalton, how would you rank those in order of what you'd least like to be? Like, what is the most heinous charge between being a dork, a loser, or a booger picker?
I mean, booger picker's the one I most don't want to be. Because that's pretty self-explanatory.
Is it? I mean, sometimes. I mean, Jim Boeheim's not a loser. He picks boogers. You could call him a booger picker. Is that worse than being called a dork? Is that worse than being called... See, sometimes people could say dork in like a cute way. They're like, oh, you're such a dork. So that's probably the least heinous charge.
I agree.
But then beyond that, I think we're really talking about booger picker versus loser. You don't want to be a loser. I think loser might be worse than booger picker in the hierarchy here.
Because you know what?
310-840-4910. Would you rather be a booger picker or a loser?
Because you could be a booger picker and be the best human being on this planet. You could be very successful, and this is just something you do. So I agree with you. Loser's the top. We don't want to be a loser.
Does it change if I say booger eater? See, picking a booger.
Yeah. I'll wear loser, but get Booger Eater out of here. I think that's where my head was at.
We're getting to the important stuff. Let's talk about the Elite Eight games we haven't hit on yet. Illinois' Final Four trip is a byproduct of Brad Underwood's recruiting masterclass. While most teams just casually dip their toe into international waters, Underwood did a cannonball into the pool. 5 players on this team are from Europe. That includes the Croatian 7-footers. Illinois, let's not forget, last year it was North Carolina and Illinois both going after Peja's kid, Andrei Stojakovic. He chose to go to Illinois. Underwood, who's an older coach, he's adapted to today's landscape. That doesn't happen with a lot of guys his age. Generally, they're getting out, like Jay Wright and Tony Bennett, wanting no part of it. Underwood has embraced it beautifully, and what he found is the European players, they're more polished, they're more coachable sometimes, and usually they're cheaper too, which helps your budgets in trying to compete. But when it comes to the star of the Illini, Underwood got a little lucky. Keaton Wagler was a complete afterthought on the recruiting trail. Despite being the state of Kansas high school player of the year, the Jayhawks didn't have interest. K-State didn't have interest. Minnesota and Illinois were the only 2 high major offers that Keaton Wagler had. And it's difficult to figure out why that might be. Like, you might think, oh, is it because he's undersized? Well, no, he's going to be a lottery pick. He's 6'10", and he's 40% from 3. Or, pardon, 6'6". He's 6'6" and over 40% from 3. And he was the Kansas High School Player of the Year. Like, how does this happen? But he ended up at Illinois, probably on a bargain. And Brad Underwood's now going to Indianapolis. And this has been quite a long, winding road for the Illinois coach. Whenever you go to the Final Four, Will, you haven't been, but this will be a few times now I've gone. One of the features of the Final Four, there's this massive sign that reads, "The road ends here." And it's often on the court. The road ends here. And that will have extra meaning for Underwood because he's 62. He's been coaching for 39 years. Yet this is his first Final Four trip in any capacity. And that got Underwood emotional after the game. Here was the Illinois coach after the game talking about his journey to the Final Four. This is from the post-game win, or the post-game following the win against Iowa, Illinois cruising in the second half, and here was Coach Underwood.
I never doubted, and I don't want to sound arrogant, I've never doubted us getting to a Final Four would happen. I thought we've had other teams capable, but I also know how doggone hard it is to do it. And for that, I just say thank you. I say thank you to everybody involved, and I'm going to get emotional, but it's you know, I've been doing this 39 years, and you dream about this as a kid.
Yes, you do. And he gets to live out that dream next weekend. He was at JUCO first. Then he worked for Bob Huggins. Then he worked for Frank Martin. Then he won a couple of NCAA tournament games with Stephen F. Austin. Then he went to Oklahoma State, and now he spent close to a decade in Champaign, and the Illini are going to their first Final Four in 21 years. Shout out to Darren Williams. Shout out to, who was it, D. Brown. Fun teams back in the mid-2000s. That was Bruce Weber that got them to the Final Four. Yeah, it was the D and D-Ron show in the mid-2000s that we got to watch. So we hit on that game. The one from earlier today, some quick takeaways from Michigan, Tennessee. The Wolverines, they enjoyed the easiest path to the Final Four that we've seen a one seed have the last few years. Like, just think about this path. Started with 16 seed Howard, who strangely was most competitive with Michigan throughout the game. Like, that was a game for a lot of it. The final score might not suggest that they won by 21 and Howard never led, but that was one of those that you kind of had to pay attention to given the seeding. Then they drew mid-major St. Louis. Big Blue disposed of the Billikens by 23. In the Sweet 16, it was shorthanded Alabama without arrested guard Aiden Holloway. An absolute demolition by the Wolverines. And then, do we have the highlight of Yaxel Lindenborg earlier today? Mike Martinez to get to? Because Yaxel was a freak in this game. Yes. Or wait, no, Yaxel Lindenborg with the dunk earlier today. They drew the 6-seed Tennessee team in the Elite Eight. And again, don't want to knock Tennessee because you're overmatched, but you weren't supposed to be here. You're a 6-seed getting to the Elite Eight. It's the third time in a row you've gone to the Elite Eight. Rick Barnes just said in a press conference he's for sure coming back to Tennessee for another year. They've had a nice run, but completely overmatched. Tennessee's leading 16-14 in the first half when Michigan goes on a 21-0 run that was highlighted by this Yaxel Lindenborg dunk as called by our teammates at Westwood One.
Burnett on him, feeds it to Okpara. Free throw line floater won't go. Okpara still scoreless. Rebound Cadeau. Outlet Lindenborg on the run. Into end and a one-hand hammer. Oh my, a full head of steam for the Big Ten Player of the Year, and he throws it down. 57-34, Michigan in control.
Kevin Kugler on the call there. He'll be on the call for the Final Four yet again. Closing in on 2 decades, he's been the voice of the Final Four for Westwood One Sports. The next takeaway that I have, Michigan, highest ceiling of any team left. Duke, they beat Michigan head-to-head, but it's obvious that Caleb Foster and Pat Gamba, they're not 100%. It might not be showing so much in this game right now that Duke's still up double digits in against the UConn Huskies. But the Wolverines, if they were to face Duke again as they did in D.C. and it was a tight game in late February, the Wolverines look better than Duke does right now. Arizona, they don't have a player as good as Yaxel Lindenborg, who, when he's hitting threes as he was against Alabama and defending players at the perimeter, he was 4 of 5 against the Crimson Tide from three-point range. He's an unstoppable player, and Michigan's unstoppable at that point. Arizona-Michigan is the matchup we have set for the Final Four, and that's going to be the event, considering Arizona's average margin of victory in the 4 tournament games, over 20 points. It's 20-point-something. Michigan's average margin of victory in their 4 wins, 22.5. Arizona opens as a 1.5-point favorite, courtesy of our friends at DraftKings. That will be the main event, regardless if it's Duke or UConn facing Illinois in the second game. Speaking of the Final Four, the Big Ten now has half the field. Illinois cruising in the second half, as we talked about earlier, against Iowa. First tournament appearance or Final Four appearance in 21 years. Michigan, this is kind of nuts. They're looking for their second national championship. It's crazy to think they still only have one, and it was in 1989. This is going to be the Wolverines' 5th Final Four appearance since that title win. You got to go through the 2 Fab 5 appearances, losing to Duke and North Carolina, the Chris Webber timeout in the latter in 93. And then 2013, remember Spike Albrecht going nuts and a half against Louisville and shooting his shot with Kate Upton before Kate Upton got married to Justin Verlander? Well, maybe if Spike Albrecht won the game, that would have worked. But they lost to our guy Luke Hancock in Louisville, a soon-to-be vacated national championship for the Louisville Cardinals in 2013. 2018, it was Mo Wagner, it was Jordan Poole helping Michigan get to the Final Four, to the national championship, but lost to a wagon that was Villanova. And we'll see if this Wolverine team has something for it. Let's see if this is the team that can break through. But for the Big Ten, this is just the second and third Final Four teams this decade getting to this point. Only one in the previous 5 tournaments is nuts. Purdue was that team 2 years ago. The Big Ten has not won it all, winning a national championship, since Mateen Cleaves and the Spartans in 2000, 26 years ago, so more than a half century. So the Big Ten is going to be a central topic because they have half the field and haven't won in a long time. But that's because Michigan wins, that you get half the field. Those are your takeaways from Michigan and Tennessee. We have one last update to bring on Duke-UConn before we bid adieu to you. Will Dalton, what do we have to put this show to bed?
It's something I've absolutely done in Grand Theft Auto before.
That's next.
The weather is heating up, and so is the sports calendar. We are your home of the Final Four, the Masters, and the NFL Draft, taking you inside the sports you care about. Westwood One Sports.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
Westwood One Sports presents Josh Graham.
Don't count UConn out yet. Duke hasn't hit a shot in 3 minutes. UConn has hit 4 of its last 5. Terrace Reed Jr., 23 points on 9 of 15 shooting, 5 boards, 4 blocks, playing with 3 fouls. Man, if UConn could just hit something from 3-point range, this would be a completely different basketball game. Will, what would you say a good 3-point shooting percentage is? One that is passable to win Elite Eight games such as this one?
I mean, I'd probably say like 40%.
Even if you're 30%, I give you a shot at winning.
Yeah.
But when it's
upper
worse
30s.
than that, you got a problem. UConn is 1 of 16 from 3. That is a robust 6% from 3 that UConn's shooting right now. 6%. It just makes you wonder what if. Because UConn's within single digits now when it trailed at one point by 19 in the first half. And Terrace Reed's got 23 in the game. He's dominating right now. If UConn loses this game, we're going to be looking at that figure and saying, man, did you miss an opportunity? And I already know what's going to happen, Will Dalton, where I'm hearing from Foul Guy. You know what I mean?
You mean the booger picker?
The booger pickers. Duke was only called for 4 fouls in the first half. Do you know what we're not hearing so much from anymore this half? Them. 7 fouls called on Duke in the second half. Oh! It's a grand conspiracy! Whoa! I'm sure the refs just decided to call a bunch of fouls now. Or maybe Terrace Reed's just taken over the game and Duke's fouled a lot because he's hard to defend. That might be the true appraisal here. Okay, let's get ready to put a bow on this show. A reminder, I'm going to be at the Final Four in Indianapolis next week. Excited to be there for that. So I'll be doing a couple of Westwood One Sports Night shows from Indy, Thursday and Friday night. Don't know if I'll be doing a show Saturday at any point, but sure I'll be guests on all of our programs. And then on Sunday, at this time next week, we'll be joining you from Indianapolis in between the Final Four and the National Championship game. And then on National Championship Monday, right after the game ends, I'll be joining Linnell Willingham, probably courtside somewhere, after the National Championship. Really, really excited to get to Indianapolis and get to the Final Four. Now, make sure you support the program. Exclusive video. You can find exclusive content on the YouTube channel. You can watch the show in addition to listening to it that way. But also, we've got boots on the ground right now at UConn and Duke. So for some locker room video and reaction, you can find Linnell Willingham and what Denton Day's doing on our YouTube channel, Westwood One Sports Night, which has grown rapidly. And subscribe to our podcast as well if you miss any of the great stuff that we've done over the last 3 hours. John Lund is on the way. But before we get to John Lund, we need to put this show to bed. That's what we go to Will Dalton for.
So this guy wasn't so much trying to catch a flight as he was trying to steal a plane. And it was a very interesting way he tried to pull it off. So let's take a little trip down to an airport in Florida, in Daytona Beach specifically, where this 58-year-old man, he plowed his car through a gate before driving onto the runway at this airport while, you guessed it, intoxicated. And what he then did was he tried to board a plane to steal it, or try to steal it, I guess. The first plane he tried was locked. Then he tries a second plane. He gets onto this one, but realizes, oh, there's people in the cockpit. Then he runs out of it. That's when he was chased by airport security and soon thereafter police. And he was detained. And I'm looking at a picture here, and he's just kind of handcuffed and laying on his side on the side of the runway strip here with a couple of police officers surrounding him. Say he crashed his vehicle at a very high rate of speed through that gate. They don't know what his motive was. Don't know why he tried to steal a plane or what he wanted to do with it. But, yeah, not terrific.
It is not.
No.
Will Dalton, I think we know how this is going to go with Duke and UConn. Duke's going to win the game by 5, and you're going to win your UConn plus 5.5 bet, and I'm going to cover my Duke minus 4.5 bet, and we're going to middle this thing because UConn once
really
again
love that.
has it down to 7.
Yep. Plenty
Getting
of time.
really interesting here, and there's 9 minutes to go.
Yep.
This tournament always delivers, and it's a very fun time of year where we get to break down all of these games. So don't make it less fun by talking about foul disparity and conspiracy theories that are out there. You don't need to. That's what makes sports a lot less fun than what we love. It does. I haven't had the audio on. It does seem like this is a Duke crowd at Capital One Arena based on some of the shots to the crowd. Whoever wins this game might be in the minority, though, in terms of fans and attendance, because UConn fans can at least say, well, we've been there. Duke was just there last year, and their opponent's going to be Illinois, who hasn't been in 21 years. So that's going to be a very pro-Illinois crowd, at least in the first game. And then in the other one, I don't know, probably more Arizona than Michigan, I think. That's going to feel more split. But here's the thing, Will. You don't buy tickets to just one game. You buy tickets to both on Saturday night. So having everybody there together, and generally you want to schedule the more appealing game second. So let's say Duke holds on to this and they beat UConn. Which game is scheduled second? Duke, Illinois, because Duke's Duke? Or the game that, from a basketball perspective, we probably want more, Michigan, Arizona. It's Duke's brand against the better game.
I think they scheduled Duke second.
I think it's Arizona, Michigan. But I wouldn't be surprised by it either way. We're asking the important questions here. That's what we're doing.
And to the point you made about the pro-Illinois crowd, so it's going to be really ruckus down there. Maybe they factor that in too.
Cam Boozer's in another commercial on the TV here. I don't think he's in enough. Can we get the boozers in more commercials? It's windshield wiper fluid. Now you see it, now you don't. I forgot. I'm going to be honest, Will. I was looking at my X feed at all the mentions of people mad talking about officiating. I didn't hear a damn thing you had to say in regards to your story. But I'm willing to admit when I'm not listening. You selectively listen yourself and then try to fake it. As if you're the kid trying to give the book report for the book he didn't read. That's what you do.
I have done that before.
Probably even on this show. All right. I think we've done all the damage we can do. John Lund is reared up and ready to roll and take you through the end of UConn Duke, and we'll have first dibs at reacting to the Final Four matchups as soon as they become crystallized. From Mike Martinez and Will Dalton, my name's been is Josh Graham, and this has been The Josh Graham Show.
This is Westwood One Sports.